Blake Hooper here, Equalizer Exchange. Just wanted to quickly run through and show you something in our docs that we've recently released, and I wanted to focus in on something in particular just to make a short sort of educational video for you. But firstly, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we're going to be giving you lots of content and we really don't want you to miss out on anything there. But I wanted to run through to a very important section of the exchange that we're building, and it's around the fees. I think a lot of people would be used to the low-cost fee structure that's solidly introduced, but we sort of feel that it's a bit of a flawed concept for the simple fact that it's not about the fees that you charge, but it's about the swap or the slippage in your trade. So you can have the lowest fee, but if your trade is slipping 2, 3, 4%, then it actually doesn't really matter about the fee, because it's about the overall trade that's most important. Now, we don't believe that a fee that low, especially on variable pairs, is actually good for the DEX and good for maintaining a balance. So we've changed it in our example here, or in our DEX here that we've created at Equalizer. So what I'll do, I'll just move to the liquidity pools, explain something to you here. So firstly, we're going with 0.2% per trade on volatile pairs, and 0.02% on stable pairs. So we've selected a bit of a balanced approach to accommodate the volatile pairs and also the stable pairs. But the reason we've done that is because there is two different calculations. Now, we don't feel if we had the fee the same as some of the other DEXs or the traditional DEXs around that 0.2% on stable that we'd actually compete, because the mathematics in that swap is very different, and a stable swap is about being more one-to-one. So you sort of want to get that one-to-one, and if the fee's there, then it sort of drops it right down. So that's why we went for the 0.02% there on the stable. But the variable, it's about drawing TVL there to make sure that you're not getting this big amount of slippage in your trade. Obviously, because it's using a different sort of equation here. But we believe that the solidly model and mechanics was fantastic, but I'm not sure it was quite balanced enough, because we haven't really had there's been no DEX to stand the test of time running fees that low on volatile pairs. But we've seen with the Uni V2 model that there are a lot of DEXs that have been able to run volume through their exchanges. So I want to just move over here to this page. This is just some examples and basically some fee structures so you can have a look at. The first thing to go through is our weekly emissions, which are very low. So I think it's something to note that we're only going to be producing 50,000 emissions or equal in that first week, and then we just move down at a 0.5% decline until week 105, and then it's 0.1 from there. But then you'll see that we just keep continuing, and these fees actually go into our next century there. So we've got longevity in mind, and we've set up a structure to continually ensure that that we can keep the exchange going for as long as possible. And at the same time, we want to now sort of demonstrate why it's so important to have these higher fees. So we're actually 20 times the amount that Solidly was using there of 0.01% on the volatile pairs. So at 0.2%, you get to start to see that on $5 million worth of volume a day, you get $10,000 in fees come through as a daily incentive to distribute across to your veEQUAL. Now, for this example, we've sort of just done a blanket that all pools are voted the same, just to give a good example. But we will have about 1.75 million veEQUAL in that initial onset. So I think that's important to note, that you're going to see that even though there's a mint of 2.5 million, some of that's in marketing, treasury, so they're not actually going to be competing for the fees and taking fees away. So if we were to do 5 million a day in volume on volatile pairs with $10,000 in incentive distributed to those token holders, they would get just over 0.5% for the day, or $2.09 for the year. So I think it's important to see as we move down, basically you sort of start to double what you get. So if we were down at say 50 million, then you would get yourself $20 per year per veEQUAL, and that's assuming that everything's voted on evenly for this example. And then we move down and I'll show you the stable swaps, which, remembering this is 2 times the fee of Solidly. So if Solidly was doing 5 million a day, then there would only be $500 in incentive. And as you can see from our example, $10,000 for that same amount of volume. So it's about rewarding and having a balance across the exchange. That's hence the name Equalizer. It's about that equal sort of area that you can draw TVL to make sure that you get low slippage trades based on the people wanting to own that veEQUAL, because they'll be rewarded with these fees. So to give you an example, the reason we've got both here is because you can say, well, if we do 20 million a day in stable swaps, then you would get 83 cents per year if you were to vote on those ones. But you might do a mix and you might vote on some volatile pairs as well. So really you're going to start to follow where those fees are and those APRs to incentivize, and it really gets a balance then, because people are following the model that was created where you start to, you can actually get higher than these amounts here if you vote on pairs that sort of are undervoted for the fees and the volume that they're doing. So it sort of becomes a bit of a weekly task where you analyze the data, you find the best position for you to place your vote for the week, and where will you make the most fees, and what token do you want sometimes. So sometimes you might say, yeah, I don't want the hassle, but I'm happy to just be earning fees in FTM and ETH, so I'm just going to vote on that pool. I think the fees are enough to keep me happy, but at the same time, I know that they're the 2 tokens that I'm very happy to just have accumulating in the background. So that's where the strategies start to come in, and you start to work out what's best for you. But for us, and the example of this video is more to show you how important it is to sort of charge that larger fee, to keep a balance across the exchange, to make sure we draw the TVL, but at the same time to reward those veEQUAL holders. And as you can see, we start to really get some daily fees in if we can produce, volumes of 150 million and things like that. So don't think it's too outlandish, because, some of the exchanges on Phantom have definitely done daily volumes higher than this, more around in that bull market section. And, Uni is still doing, $1 billion a day at certain points. So you can imagine I'm only going down to 150 million here, and you can really start to see why we have this fee structure in play to draw the TVL, to get the volume, to get the fees for your veEQUAL holders, and allow us to promote the exchange and get people swapping, because it's all about doing volume, fees, and drawing TVL, and it's almost as simple as that. So thanks for watching. We look forward to bringing you more content, but make sure you subscribe. That way you get to see every video as they pop up.